I decided to do a little kind of a potpourri this morning. Did any of you ever have the same experience with that word that I did? Potpourri. There's no reason it should be pronounced that way. If you look at the spelling, it's a potpourri. And that's how I spoke to it one day in school. I was about a sophomore or freshman in high school, and I was reading this piece in class, and I came across that word, and I pronounced it potpourri. And my students, I think they're still laughing at me. Anyway, I want to share some ideas about it's something that's very major out there in concern and consideration for many of our citizens, members of our church, and included it's the idea of physical fitness. It's the idea of iron buns and a heart of gold. That's what I kind of thought about. And if developing iron buns and biceps happens to be my passion, commitment will compel me to seize every available opportunity to lift weights. If creating a life of lighthearted enthusiasm is my passion, commitment will compel me to seize every opportunity to practice lifting the weight of judgment and fear and doubt from my life experience. Now, to that end, I find it helpful to think of life as God's gym. Each moment challenging us to practice. Every situation inviting us to work out and lighten up. The game, of course, is in the if. Where, in fact, is my passion? Or, as Jesus might inquire, where's your treasure? What's it going to be? Buns and biceps? Or love and generosity and lightheartedness? He always took it to the level of cause. He wanted us to know that passion serves significance. Whatever we value the most commands our commitment. Where your treasure is, there your heart will be also. I hear Jesus encouraging me to stay tuned to my heart space. How's it going in yours? Whole and happy? Or broken? A little sad? Either experience contains a grace. In God's grand design, it's always win-win. Whole and happy? Go for it. Enjoy it. Soak it up. Broken and sad? Time to clarify the cause of your predicament and go a little deeper into understanding. Win-win. Remember, a broken heart is God's Nordic track. I think of it as an event inviting me to awaken to the realization that once again I've fallen in the trap of being more invested in buns and biceps, earth stuff, than I am in love and generosity, heavenly stuff. Remember, being lost in a spiritually uninformed value system doesn't make me inadequate, worthless, unlovable, or spiritually deficient in any lasting sense. It simply provides me with the opportunity to experience the grace of unhappiness's compelling insistence that I wake up and put an end to the self-imposed suffering my spiritual carelessness is creating. That was a mouthful, wasn't it? Let's try it again. Remember, a broken heart is God's Nordic track. I think of it as an event inviting me to awaken to the realization that once again I've fallen in the trap of being more invested in buns and biceps, the earth stuff, than I am in love and generosity, heavenly stuff. Remember, being lost in a spiritually uninformed value system doesn't make me inadequate, worthless, unlovable, or spiritually deficient in any lasting sense. It simply provides me the opportunity to experience the grace of unhappiness's compelling insistence that I wake up and put an end to the self-imposed suffering my spiritual carelessness is creating. Did you hear it a little better that time? Yeah, can you own that? That's beautiful. There's always a win. Acknowledging with some clarity the enormous stash of earth stuff I have assigned treasure status to has proven to be an extremely challenging piece of business. Maybe some of you have noticed that as well. Initially, it was overwhelming to realize that every bit of conditionality I embraced was a setup piece for another episode of Broken Heart. There was, is, so much. And it gets so subtle. I found myself lost time after time in the maze of these seemingly reasonable expectations that inevitably lead to righteous indignation. Have you ever been there? I mean, how could you not expect me to create upsetness over this? It's so reasonable for me to expect of you. And we go online. How humbling, eventually, to discover that all expectation is irrational and that all forms of indignation constipate. Put that in the bank. I remember how long I stayed totally lost in my irrational resistance to certain deposits in my driveway. A number of years ago, our neighbors across the street owned 3 cute little mutts that loved to hang out soaking up the warmth of God's asphalt driveway. I had no problem with the dogs in the driveway, but I did have a significant problem with their tendency to leave behind considerable evidence of having been there. Really now, really, I thought it was absolutely reasonable to insist on my right to pull into my driveway, park, and walk to my house after dark, free of any fear stepping in what my mom used to call the well-known substance. Who could possibly sanction me for an expectation that reasonable? Well, sure, Jack, I can sure understand that. Absolutely, that is so reasonable. The principle is immutable. Lay up not for yourself treasure on earth, including the foolishness of making no dog poop so significant that its presence in my driveway instantly trashed my commitment to love and generosity. You get the picture? Over something as trivial as an organic reminder of a dog's presence, I was sacrificing the sacred gifts of the kingdom of heaven. Dumber than that, it doesn't get. What a grace to finally recognize it. You got it? It's a useful metaphor. Is anyone or anything making deposits in your life that you're struggling to embrace with compassion and understanding? If that be the case, get real still and notice where your heart is. Chances are you've made a treasure out of some piece of cherished behavior that's not coming your way at the moment. Chances are you are obsessing over its absence enough to blind you to the opportunity for awakening that your suffering contains. But rest easy. Rest easy, dear hearts. God loves you with all her heart and strength, just like you are right now, and just like you are going to be when she's finished polishing your buns of steel and your heart of gold. Thank you. Thank you. That's it. Okie dokie.